Hello, AnnReagan Kearns, and welcome to the Make Life Rich Movement podcast. Thank you so much for coming on.
Hey, hey, thanks for having me. Excited to chat today.
I am very pleased, you guys, because we're speaking with not only a two-time founder, but one of the things that she's founded is a PR firm. So we have so much in common already. But I absolutely am head over heels in love with AnnRegan's new company, which is Medalist Skin. It is a clean skincare line that was created specifically for female athletes, also developed and tested and approved by Olympians, and it launched in June of 2024. I, just want to thank you in advance for all of the help with chafing, the acne from the sweating, the smelliness after a workout when you have to go to brunch or continue on with your day or a meeting or something. Like, you guys just jumped right in and handled all of our problems just pretty quickly. I'm obsessed with everything that Medalist stands for and your product line. So thank you so much for coming on to talk about it. I'm really excited to learn more.
Well, thanks. You have me blushing over here. I really appreciate the opportunity. We're just so excited. We're still a small bootstrap brand, 7 months into launch, launched right before the 2024 Olympics. We had a lot of our tester panel and a lot of great girls and women athletes, involved with the brand and bringing it to what it is today who are competing in the Olympics. It was really exciting, to see kind of this group and see them competing on the screen and be like, oh my gosh, she didn't like the first iteration of the cheap stick, but she gave us great feedback, and she's running real fast right now, so maybe that's 'cause of Medalist, but, no, it's been really exciting to, see just the overall excitement towards the brand, especially from this group of women athletes. It's no surprise to anyone, unless you're living under a rock, that women athletes and women's sports are truly taking off. I'm just really excited that all of these, female athletes are getting their moment to shine, their moment in the sun. It's well deserved decades later, truly. But
Mhm.
I'm glad that we're kind of being seen more so not as charity as it kind of was positioned a lot of times with these large brand partnerships, but
Mhm.
actually a lucrative business partnership and opportunity to get involved in.
Yeah, man, we're gonna have so much fun unpacking everything that has to do with female sports and everything that surrounds it. But I would love to know, what is your earliest memory of playing sports? You are by tradition a D1 swimmer, which we'll absolutely get into, but what are some of your earliest memories of just sports and what that meant to you as a little girl?
Oh my gosh, my first memory of sports is me quitting the soccer team when I was 4 years old because the ball hit me in the face. So I was like, "This is not for me. No contact sports, please." So that's how I ended up in swimming, I think. I was, a water baby born on, the East Coast of North Carolina. So my family was definitely involved a lot with swimming. My dad was a sailor, all of that good stuff. So I think it just, came naturally to me too. I was always in the water. But when I found out that, I could join a swim team, I started kind of as a regular swimmer does on the summer swim league team. I think that's another core memory, swimming your race, which was usually just one lap and getting candy at the end, your moms and coaches bribing you for an airhead. So that definitely was a core memory too. But just the overall, sense of camaraderie and teammates and just being able to feel a part of like a community, and having built-in friends, I think from the very jump is what a lot of female athletes, really young girls really love about joining a sports team. It teaches you how to work for something larger than yourself and a common goal. I also think from a young age, you're kind of thrown into a group of all different varying types of personalities, and learning how to get along, as a young female athlete is something really truly valuable that you can carry on for the rest of your life in terms of going into business or into a career. And I think it's really kind of teaches you really lifelong values from the jump. And so I would just say from the beginning, it was just, being a part of a team. And when I was a swimmer, when I first started year round swimming too, I used to get kind of like timeouts because I would just talk so much to all of my teammates. I just wanted to go and, they're my best friends. So I was chatting about, oh, I got a C on my math test today while my coach was, quite literally explaining the set that we're trying to do. I just think, friendship, teammates, memories starting from a very young age is really what kept me going a lot of times, especially during some of the lower points that, female athletes can experience as well.
Wow, it's so funny, one, that even during, a space where you're in the flow and you're swimming, you were still talking, and I love that that was just the publicist side of you that just couldn't
I think
be
so.
exercised in that moment. It was still deeply in there. It's like, "No, no, no. I'm gonna get paid for this one day. You can put me in timeout now," but, like, "Okay,
Hey
fine."
everyone, I have some news for you.
Yeah.
I almost failed my test, so just have to get that out into the ethers. If you want a comment from me, it's that I need to study more. No questions at this time.
Oh my gosh. I love that for you. You, like, kind of knew right away. I think the beautiful thing about sports is there's so many different types of sports that, especially for a young girl, are going to give you the ability to really get to know yourself. And for you knowing right away, like, oh, team sports aren't for me. I like this thing over here. I still have teammates, but like I'm doing my own thing. What were those first couple of years like for you with swimming and just evolving as a young girl and having, this discipline and the structure and the practices and, learning about needing to fuel your body because you're literally hungry because you're doing so
Oh
much throughout
man.
your day, and puberty and acne, like, which I imagine is where I'm sure Medalist was in its incubation of being like,
Yes,
"Mom, I have breakouts."
absolutely.
What were those first few years of swimming like for you and kind of evolving as you grew alongside of that?
Yeah, so back to kind of just the origin story of my swim career. I have a sister who also swam in college. We grew up swimming together, which led to some interesting car rides on from swim meets if one or each, if we beat each other or, what have you. But I think originally my mom was just like, hey, ladies, we need to figure this out because I'm driving you to tennis practice, soccer practice, gymnastics, swimming. When you're young like that, you really do kind of try to, a lot of parents try to throw you into things and see kind of what you like. And I think both of us kind of gravitated towards swimming. So she was like, great. I only have to take you to one practice, So I think that's kind of what started it. But then I think also just kind of going into swimming remains one of the few and only places for me that I can completely unplug. Before cell phones, before the internet, I'm a millennial, woman. So I think it was just an opportunity to you literally are just staring at a black line for an hour to 2 hours. You're thinking about stroke, streamline, flip turn, breathing patterns, technique, and it doesn't, your mind can wander on some of those longer sets where you're doing miles and miles and miles, but it really makes you focus on one and one thing only, and that's what I love about it today. It's really sometimes the only time that I have an hour to myself where I'm not looking at my phone. I'm not looking at screens. I'm not taking calls, and I'm really only truly thinking about being in the water and swimming. So that's one thing that I think really truly has been something for me that it's one of those lifelong sports. In terms of, where Medalist came from and the origin story, definitely related to, my up to 4 hours a day in the pool, three practices a day sometimes, especially in the collegiate world where it's two swim practices in a lift, two practices in a dry land. For dry land is a funny word just for, training that's done on land. So that's running, that's conditioning, all of that stuff. So I don't know. I just think for me, growing up, my skincare, back to the whole millennial thing, our skincare was Proactive or Stridex pads or St. Ives. You're either scrubbing your face off or toning it with all these chemicals that it's burning, and, the Stridex pads, like I used to think if it's burning, it's good. I just want to give you a heads up. If it's burning, it's not good, ladies. you know, I would, dive into the pool and it would make for an unfortunate and chemical burn, sometimes with chlorine interacting with these
Yeah.
other ingredients. Growing up, there was always something where I was like, I really need something that is, not only dedicated to swimmers, but I'm also breaking out from, the conditioning that I'm doing, the running, the weightlifting, the sweat that I'm getting in as well. So my mind kind of, really thought of this idea back when I was at Penn State undergrad. And I was just really having problems with my acne. Also, at one point, I lost my eyebrows. So I was just really a hot mess. I kind of looked around to some of my other athlete friends, specifically, the lacrosse players, hockey, anyone with like masks that they were wearing or sweaty gear. And I kind of took a poll. I was like, hey, is this something that you guys experience too? And are you guys struggling to find skincare that can kind of keep up with people who, are having this really active lifestyle, sweating copious amounts every day. And they were basically like, no, I don't know anything that I can reach that's clean. Back when we were looking at skincare, clean wasn't a thing. And I think Gen Z is the most educated consumer that we've seen in the skincare. I mean, any kind of, consumer market right now, but specifically anything that they're ingesting or putting on their skin. They want to know all of the ingredients. Where are they sourced? Are they ethically sourced? Are they clean and okay for your body? I think specifically athletes, we really focus on what we're ingesting and what's going in our body, that sometimes we don't really think about what's going on our body, which in course ends up in our body as well. So that was definitely something that was, a huge pillar for us when we were kind of, thinking and developing of these ingredients, that they're actually helpful and clean and not harming you, as some of these other brands who have now kind of almost, I think, tagged on to women's sports and like rode the wave, but they in reality aren't offering clean products. And it's actually, not compatible with sweat and all of that. And also making sure everything's NCAA approved. So, anything going in your skin, it's not going to be something that if you're drug tested or anything like that, that comes off kind of a red flag to those competing.
Man, it's so interesting. We've really like come to, I feel like, a head in the product world where, let's be honest, the blood, sweat, and tears of us, and I am an elder millennial, I'm 39, I'll be 40 in May. The
Happy
heavy,
early birthday.
thank
Taurus or
you.
Gemini?
Taurus.
It's okay.
Neat.
My
Are
Earth
you?
sister. I'm a Virgo sun, Capricorn rising.
That's why I love you. My husband's a Virgo. Virgos are my favorite people ever.
I
Love.
love it.
We did a lot of heavy lifting back in the day.
You sure did.
I think the beauty of that is that right from the gate, our generation was one that was like, there's a problem here that needs to be solved. And for
Mhm.
some reason, no one's gotten around to doing it.
Yeah.
So, if y'all agree, I'm just going to just jump in here and just take care of this real quick.
Yeah.
And I love that you found that space within the sports world, but also kind of blanketly catering to all women in general that work out and have
Mhm.
to live a life and go about their day. Found Upon coming across your brand, I was just literally threw my hands up and I was like, thank you for
I
these
love it.
wipes. Because there's been like, I can recount dozens of times where I trained jujitsu and I lived in Philadelphia for 18 years and I love jujitsu. So fun. It's been a little
Okay.
bit of a hiatus, but we're getting back into it.
Yeah.
In Philly, training, you're traditionally in a space where there's no air conditioning. It's
Mhm.
90.
Mhm.
It's just June. It's not even August yet. And then you are on a mid break, lunch break class. There's no shower in the gym. You don't have
Mhm.
time to run home. So it's a choice between, do I get to work out today for my sanity to be able to keep going throughout my day at work and then risk being smelly, uncomfortable, itchy, like I'm just feeling sweaty, dried sweaty at that point, or do I everything about it. And women and sweat and the way your skin feels after is a lot different than the sweat that men have and how it absorbs back into their skin. There's a lot to it that I don't think you really get to be intimate with until you are a regularly sweaty person
Absolutely.
that needs to deal with your skin's now being a little upset that it's constantly sweaty. And then what
Mhm.
products are you putting on that irritated skin while still continuing to get sweatier because you're going to keep doing the thing you're doing? But your wipes to me were like instant aha moment. Every wipe that I tried before that was chemically ridden. I smelled like I was a baby. It was irritating, especially in the armpit regions where you have lymph nodes and like all these things that are opening up. And it felt like crazy that I would literally have to pre-pack a washcloth with
Yes.
my soap on it
Yep.
in a Ziploc bag and then have another clean one completely wet and ready to go in case for some reason there was no water access. Like
Yep.
that's madness. It's
Yeah.
madness.
Exactly. Yeah. I completely agree. And that's definitely where the clean sweep wipes like came from. Again, like when I was in high school, I got assigned a gym period, first period of the day. Okay. So
What? Prime.
yeah. So for me, I mean, I also was coming from a 1.5 hour swim practice that started at 4:30 a.m. So it's kind of like I already, like I had the swimmer bun and my hair up, but like for the days that, it was every day, first period, you could just tell I had already given up on trying to look nice. I feel like at that point, just because of my swimming, you know what I mean? But the
Yeah, you're
girls
an
who are like,
athlete. You're like,
yeah, the girls who are like, I just did my makeup for what? Like, what is this? And you're exactly right. Like, they didn't have anything on the go. If they did, like, it would irritate their face more. And it was just like, okay, well, now I don't have time to like, do this. I have my red face, all of that. Like, it's just awful. So that was one thing too. When I was just like thinking back on like not only my collegiate days, but like, we also want this brand to be for the girls who like quite literally, like maybe they're the, walkers in the mile in high school, but still are like, hey, like I'm in gym class and I'm still sweating, and I need to like get something clean and on the go and ready to, make sure that I have an okay day. Because in high school, you really do worry about those things. Like, you really, if you're uncomfortable in any way, or if you're looking in the mirror and you're not feeling your best, like it can kind of translate into, how you perform, whether that's in school and studying or, on the field. And then secondly, I think in terms of the clean sweep wipes too, we've seen a lot of people using during travel, so you get off an airplane and you're just like, oh, that was a 6 hour flight and you just feel gross and grimy. And I think the beauty of our wipes too, I loved the idea of a skincare and a wipe, but it felt like every time I used one, I felt greasier and grosser after using it. And I was like, this makes me want to wash my face. And that was what I was trying to avoid in the first place, kind of thing.
mhm.
So, our Glow on the Go kit, which is our cleanser, our game face spray, which is an award nominated for by the Future Publishing. So they do Marie Claire, Who What Wear, those great, magazines. They nominated us for most innovative for the game face spray. And yeah, that was really exciting. But we, our kit goes together. So it's essentially a on the go cleanser and moisturizer duo that's waterless. You don't have to use water for it. You don't have to pack your prepackaged, washcloth. Our wipes are all biodegradable, FCS certified. So, you can recycle. They're not harmful for the environment. So, I don't recommend this, but in case you accidentally left one on the soccer field, like it will be okay and it's not going to clog up, and poison around the grass around it. But that's just something that I really wanted to make sure that we were having. Just the feel of this stuff, especially when you're younger, is such a big
Yeah.
concern. And for us, it leaves your skin feeling just hydrated, a little dewy, feeling good. And you can really like feel how moisturized it is. That's something that we did a few iterations of our product for sure with our testing panel to make sure that we got it just right for the athletes.
It really is incredible how you left no stone unturned, yet you still, for only being around for 7 months, have a rather large product line that you started with, and they both not both, they all work together in a way that makes complete sense for what a woman head to toe would need to kind of, like, get back to her day.
Yeah.
But can you run us through your product line and kind of what they're best for?
Yeah, absolutely. So all of our products are multitasking too, which I love. I'm very big and like, not over consuming things, overconsumption, all of that. So that's something that we also thought about. Everything is TSA approved. So when you're going to away meets or traveling just for big travel and you know that you're going to be working out or there's a gym there, or at least like exploring the city with our, anti-chafe stick, I think really helps. But, I touched on our two products already that are our best sellers, our game face spray and our clean sweep wipes. But again, they're meant to use together, but also separately. Our game face spray is, filled with hypochlorous acid, which definitely a star and trending ingredient right now in the beauty industry. A little bit of history on that. That was actually used originally in World War I as an antiseptic. So cleaning out like wounded soldiers and just getting all of that grime and dirt and grossness essentially off of you, and making it, so you're able to perform surgery and all that stuff. So we're not performing surgery, but we're still getting out on the battlefield of our soccer,
Yeah.
pitch and all of that. But I think, that's also really highly been used for just on the go, hydrating, refreshing. I see a lot of our athletes who take it to travel during their game days, especially with dry air on airplanes.
Mm.
We've seen a lot of people just kind of spritz on the go, feeling good. You're not feeling like you need to go and wash your face in the gross little bathroom on the airplane. Again, with the clean sweep wipes, that is, face, décolletage, armpits, that kind of stuff. That is something that we've actually gotten a lot of requests for doing feminine care for, which I think would make a perfect, example of kind of not, completely relaunching a product, but and listening to our community of over 500 athletes that we consistently reach out to for feedback. Because at the end of the day, like, we're not going to launch a retinol product if our audience and consumers don't want it. There's already thousands of retinol products out there, or vitamin C. We'll never do retinol just because we are for younger athletes, but
Mhm.
it's still kind of goes hand in hand with we're really listening to what our consumers want. When we first interviewed this market research panel of over 500 athletes, they said 96% of their number one skincare concern, and this was aged 12 to 38, dryness and acne. Aging wasn't a factor. I think it's because if you're looking for actual skincare that you're using while you're practicing, while you're competing, right after you've, sweat, you're not worried about like, oh my gosh, look at my wrinkles. You're just thinking about, oh my gosh, my face is red, I'm sweating, this is
Mhm.
gross, I'm breaking out and I'm 36. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So that was definitely very important when we were kind of formulating products and what we wanted to do there. And then 94% of those surveyed in our market research panel also said that they felt that there's nothing out there that was directed towards, post sweat skincare that they could grab and go, with transparent ingredients, clean, that they felt were speaking to them as an athlete. A lot of them felt like, we got direct feedback saying it felt like some of these companies were just slapping sport on the bottle and calling it a day. And these formulations were still not able to keep up, with with the sweaty girls. Like, athletes are sweaty girls who are sweaty betties, and even the non-athletes who are sweaty betties, they know how uncomfortable it can be when you're just kind of like, oh my God, like, I need to clean up and what's happening here.
Yeah.
Our No Frick Stick anti-chafe balm, one of my favorites. A lot of my friends say it helps with the chub rub, if you know what that means, in between the thighs, especially when it's March. I'm still seeing snow outside of my window where I am, but it is eventually going to get warm, I think, I hope. But when short season comes out and you're running on the treadmill, all of that, once the ankles are out, once the thighs are out, it's anti-chafe season. So we've seen a lot of people, not only, you don't have to be, logging miles to enjoy this product. I think for us, we, see a lot of people, like I said, traveling. So, those days when you're taking 20K plus steps exploring a new city and you're like, oh my gosh, wow, like, I didn't realize that, this was going to be creating so much friction. Just perfect to put in your little, fanny or something that you want to, your little backpack, throw it on. Very easy, very light. And all of our products are also cooling. So that gives that instant, it's long term, it's short-term benefits with long-term results is what we really pride ourselves on. So when you're putting the spray on, when you're wiping yourself down, when you're using the anti-chafe stick, you're automatically getting this cooling sensation. So you're like, "Oof, I'm cooling down a little bit." And that's what athletes want when they're coming off the field and they've just, done their conditioning or, what have you. But one thing that's been interesting too is I always get emails from, different athletes and their different uses of what each product is for. I obviously came at a lens of, swimming and what that looks like. So for me, chafing usually occurred up here with the swimsuits, chafing up against my neck, and then bikini area as well. I also formulated this with, rugby players, WNBA players. So they were kind of coming at me with like where they're chafing and all of that, which is underneath their sports bra, all of that. But we got a large order request from a ballet company who was doing, a large performance of the Nutcracker, and I got a large order of the chafe stick, and I was like, "Huh, this is so interesting." And so I reached out to them. I was like, "What's going on here? Like, I'd love to know why you're ordering all of these." And they said that the chafe stick was amazing for like point shoes for dancers. And that's something that I would never, yeah, I would never know because I did try ballet once. That was one of my sports that I was thrown into, but I was like, "Oh my gosh, like,
Yeah.
being on my tiptoes for an hour, no thanks," so
But what they're using is so filthy. It's
yes.
not clean at all.
No, no. So
That
this,
makes
they were like, it
sense.
seems almost, it's like a relief because it has that cooling sensation. It feels good. It's clean. You don't have to worry about what's these products have. So they were like, this is, a solution that we did. And I was like, all right, well, I'm an unofficial Nutcracker sponsor. You know what I mean? I had no idea. So just emails like that really make my day. We've had people, I use this for this. And sometimes I have to be like, please don't, that's not what that's intended for. But, that goes
Okay.
to every, kind of beauty brand. But I do enjoy getting those emails. And I'm like, I never thought about that. And that's something that I'm really happy that, I reached out and learned that this product can help.
It's really cool too to hear of, in a way, women are kind of breaking down the barriers that have been placed around their consumer goods.
Mhm.
And I think the way in which everything has been greenified,
Oh, yeah.
I think now in a way, women's products are starting to get not only more real, but realistic. And I think the athletic industry is realizing that women sweat. Not only do women sweat, we smell terrible when we sweat.
Yes, yes.
We have so many skin things that happen from abrasions from our outfits, bodily functions that are
Mhm.
fluctuating with hormones. Like there is so much that goes into what we would need individually as a woman that has never been addressed before ever. And we've all just had to hush, 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 like
Right.
cover it up with chemicals, make this go away, make that go
Smell
away.
like baby powder. Like, who
Right.
thought that was that we wanna
What in the
smell like
hell? And in reality, you are taking ingredients like the one found in World War I that is an antiseptic. It's going to cut down bacterial production, which is going to cut down smell. It's going to cut down those nasty sweats that linger in your clothes afterward, even after you wash. Like you're creating a ripple effect by just being mindful of what ingredients are going into the products that don't exist anyway, but people are looking for. So it's not, I want everyone to be really aware of not only the work that it took for AnnRegan to come up with these products, but to do so while also simultaneously creating the first clean version of these products that hadn't existed for the purpose that they were created for. And the amount of overhead and detail and just like formulations, I'm sure. Like, let's talk about that portion of the business
let
because as a publicist, your brain, you're holding facts all day long. You've got a jillion plates going, but I have to imagine that this was different for your wheelhouse, although I'm
Yeah.
sure you handled it beautifully. But what were those initial cornerstones of the brand and the products that you wanted to make sure were set in stone from the very beginning? Because you've
Yeah.
done everything in a completely different manner than anything that's been done before within not only female products, but sports products specifically.
Yeah, I appreciate that because it has been a lot of effort and I'm still learning as I go, but I think a few things. So, having a background of 13 years in PR has tremendously helped. I've seen brands launch and dissolve and launch and dissolve, or brands say, hey, we're for athletes and we're sporty now. And I'm looking at their ingredients list and I'm like, well, actually, that ingredient, causes breakouts, or these aren't clean, or, that kind of stuff that I'm like, okay, there still hasn't been anyone, or in the beauty industry tea of it all, as you probably know, a lot of these heads up who are coming up with these ideas are, this isn't to be a male basher, but they're men, who might not have that or don't have that lived experience of being a female athlete growing up. Even if it's, the experience of, like I said, the 14-year-old who has gym class first period and now is terrified to leave the locker room after she sweat. But I think in terms of launching Medalist, I knew I had to do something that was not done before in the beauty industry. And as a publicist, I think you understand and that you have to do something that is different in order to stand out and succeed. Thousands and thousands and thousands of beauty brands out there. And, I always had this idea back in, since I was in high school, which was 2005, 2009, but it was always in the back of my head, and I think it was one of those things that was like, always, it was an idea that was always back there, a voice in the back of the head saying, I think you should do this. I think you should do this. And it finally came to a point where I was like, all right, I've had this amount of experience in the industry. It hasn't been done the way it should have been done or way that athletes want it to be done. So why not me? And it took a lot of confidence to look around and be like, I can do this. But in terms of the product development, I did a lot of research on LinkedIn and I held a lot of meetings. And my first kind of question, this was very important with my first iteration of products. What level of athlete were you? I need some lived experience of you having some sort of understanding that the necessity of this product. You know what I mean? And that kind of, out of process of elimination, I spoke to some very, very talented people, but it was people who are like, I've never been an athlete. Like, I don't like to sweat. And I'm like, okay, then I don't know if I can, fully give my idea to you in order to, I need that lived experience and that common ground of someone who's like, yes, I know this product is worth it. And I know this product the back of my hand because I've had this lived experience. So I ended up partnering with a woman who has over 30 years experience. She in the product development industry. She was also a swimmer growing up. So that was awesome. We got to bond over that. She has kids that swim now in college. So she's seen it all, not only from her being a swimmer, but her kids being a swimmer and the breakouts and the chlorine and all of that. So I think, and for me, I just wanted to get a launch team of all female athletes who knew the struggles and really could speak to the process of creating this. It wasn't the cheapest team, I'm going to not going to lie, but for me, like, it was worth it because if you have a product that works, that's the most important part. I'm not trying to launch into this sporty beauty category that categorically has not had a winner, essentially. You know what I mean? And I knew if I wanted to kind of be that Glossier meets Nike of skincare, that I would need to have the athletes, the athletes behind it, the athletes behind it and the lived experience and knowing that that's going to be very important. And all of our founding team members were testing the products and giving feedback. And, it was a race to the finish line, quite literally, but we got it done in an expedited amount of time. And I think product development also in terms of picking out our athlete tester panel, we had 5 WNBA players who were really excited about the brand. We had a mini NASCAR driver, which she's like 12 or 13. And I was like, how are you able to drive a car? But that is so cool. And I didn't understand like how hot it gets in the pit or whatever it is, while driving this car and using the helmet. Tons of standout, collegiate high school athletes. Also, we wanted just, some people who are just starting their athlete journey that maybe just made their JV team or, at 13, they're just starting their, travel soccer league. And a lot of 2020 and 2024 Olympic medalists. So we had the span of, athletes, because also medalists, I don't want it to also seem like it's just for the people who are standing on the podium and accepting the gold medal at Olympics. Like that's
Yeah.
not who we're just for as well. And I wanted to reach every single athlete, no matter what level. If you sweat, you're an athlete. You know what I mean? So I think in terms of that, like just being able to build on that community. And that's something that we're really excited about.
Your brand, Glossier meets Nike, is spot on. Not only
Thank
that,
you.
I really enjoyed while preparing for our conversation, going through your social media. First of all, let's just clap it up for your social media team. Is that
Thank
you? Is it
you.
someone else? It's perfection. The way that there is no doubt that Medalist is not just for those that are achieving success and, winning awards and accolades for their sports. It is so apparent that Medalist is a brand that first and foremost honors that sacred time you have with yourself, whether you're on a team or you're by yourself, where it's you against yourself. You're putting in that hard work, you're putting in that grind, you're making yourself better than you were before you stepped on or off the field or whatever your medium is. And I think it's really important, not only for younger women that are coming up in sports, to know that regardless of what the outcome is of your sport, you're being sharpened every day. You're being made a better person than you were the day before. And I'm getting like goosebumps saying this because it's something that's so needed for women. Women need to be told and given the authority to take the reins on how they feel about themselves. You can feel like a champion day in and day out, even if you're only showing up for pickleball and playing with your friends before work or like whatever it is. Like there's a medalist in you, and that medalist is the person that shows up day in and day out or whatever your schedule is to just work on you. So your social media, gosh, the social proof is just so perfect. You're seeing teens all the way through professional female adult athletes that are just happy they're being seen, and
Yes.
they're even happier that their pain points are being addressed. And, within all of that, there's a framework of support because you have built this community of doers that are just happy that they get to be doing alongside others, which I think is just so beautiful and absolutely a testament to the PR woman in you, because
Thank
from the
you.
gate, you've created a really beautiful community that I think leaves room for everyone to feel their place within the medalist world.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's kind of the whole, standing ground on Medalist is that we're community first, right? We're building all of our products with these athletes. We're speaking to them. I feel like there is a disconnect for some other brands that may, in the past say that they're for athletes or, for people who practice sport or sweat, but there is truly a disconnect with like their socials. You know what I mean? Like it was some of the boutique fitness classes that may cost upwards of $1,500 a month to participate in, and it's just like that's a very select group of people who maybe the 14-year-old who has soccer practice like can't relate to, you know what I mean? So I really appreciate that, and that's something that we really strive to aim for. A lot of our viral moments are just like inside, if you know of being an athlete, whether that's like teammate or coach, a drama or what have you. I think that that's really important to note and point out as well. So I appreciate you for shining the light on that. We have an awesome social media lead. She is actually a current student and she was a former track athlete. So she got injured, but I think that her again, we're including people who have that lived experience to create that content, and we sit down and review content every month and what resonates with athletes, what doesn't, and just being a part of those pop culture sport moments, whether obviously the Olympics were huge, some big WNBA moments, and there's a lot of crossing over now with women's sports and pop culture that we've been able to be a part of, which is super exciting. And yeah, you're exactly right. We have everyone from quite literally gold medalists who follow our account and engage with our content, leave comments to, the eighth grader who literally might just have started, picking up a tennis racket for the first time because she wants to join, a team. So I love that we have that community, but it feels like a exclusive community just because it's, athletes, but it doesn't feel like exclusive to a certain level or part of an athlete, if that makes sense.
Totally. It's a culture. It's absolutely a culture. And I think the post that got me, it was recent. I think it was a couple of days ago. It was a reel of someone running super, super fast. And then the quote above it was like, me after waking up to multiple missed calls from my teammates, and it's like 6:33 and you're like shit, 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 shit,
Yes.
shit. Like we've all had those moments.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
the culture ties to it where it's just perfect. And I think it also takes you back to those moments of for the women that aren't find feeling themselves as an athlete, but they work out before work or after work and they still need all of the equipment. It's nice to be reminded of those little intricacies of routines and habits and things that we've all been a part of, but
yeah,
may not still be a part of. And for those that are, I think it's just a really like beautiful flag that you fly to let people know that like, yeah, we understand your life. We live that life too. And like, you're welcome here. And not only are you welcome here, but like, we've got some stuff to make it better, a little easier.
absolutely. Yeah, I think that we speak, a lot of my a lot of my old teammates who, age I'm 33, so who I swam with are ranging from 30 to, 36 now, but a lot of them see as kind of like nostalgic posts of when you were in, like intense training, and then it's just generational, it spans generations. So it speaks to the current student athlete who maybe accidentally set her calculator for a 7:30 wake up call instead of her alarm clock on her phone. But I think it really does speak to that. And going back to the whole, wanting to shine a light on, you're not just an athlete like medalist. We want you to be a gold medalist in life, whether that's a student, a sister, a daughter. We also want to shine the light on amazing achievements that student athletes are doing. When we have our medalist Mondays, we've been highlighting a lot of people who, an athlete that we've been working with who has raised a ton of money for juvenile diabetes, and, just making sure that those stories are seen too. And not just, and she's also a USA national hockey team member. You know what I mean? So it's like, those are normally the stories that are shared, I think. And especially now, because, I think it's not a problem, but it's just that, like, we're so excited that women sports are getting coverage, that it's like, look at this great athlete. She's doing, like, look at her stats. But for us, it's like, yeah, but she's also more than that. Like, she's raised $20,000 in 1 year for juvenile diabetes. She has a 3.6 GPA. She's involved in all of these clubs. Like, she made Dean's List and All American, academic. So it's like, we want to also shine and highlight that part of the athlete too as well. So,
It really does go to show very beautifully what being an athlete can do to the rest of your life,
yeah.
which is important to pull through. And I think, as silly as it may sound to those that haven't been in the position, things like being uncomfortable post practice to then
Mhm.
having to go to work or go do this or go do that, do and can keep people from continuing on for whatever, thing they were working towards. So I think the simple fact of not only being able to give high school girls the ability to freshen up after gym class or practice or whatever they need to do to get back to their day and still feel supported and powerful from that workout and not worried about, like, do I have BO? Like, is
Yeah,
my
yeah,
face breaking out crazy today again? And like, look at it, like,
yeah,
have to go back. I think there's just so much to be said about paying attention to the details and how those details can reverberate through life in a way that really changes not only the way someone feels throughout their day, but how they move through that day, which trickles over to the next day and the next day. I just want you to know you're making such a change. And even though it's, something that someone could pass off as just, oh, well, it's just beauty and like skin stuff. Well,
right.
yeah, we live in our skin every day. We should be comfortable in it while we're
Oh, man,
achieving hard
sister.
things.
I truly appreciate that, and I cannot thank you enough for, seeing us and recognizing us in that matter. I completely agree. I just, everyone is welcome with Medalist. I want that to be, known and clear. But we just, we love our community. We're obviously a small team. We're bootstrapping, and we're growing a little bit slow, but I think I'd rather have that than, some other aspects that I've seen with some beauty brands just take off and, not be able to kind of support that massive growth. So keep an eye out for us. We are going to be launching on Amazon soon in Q2. So stay tuned. I'm really excited about that. Now we're only available on D2C and TikTok Shop, but this will obviously give a little bit of an opportunity to shop, with a little bit more ease through Amazon. And we were selected as an Amazon emerging brand. So really excited to see, thank you, really excited to see kind of the Amazon team help us, and love that they kind of saw what you saw in the brand as well, to kind of highlight and uplift the brand as much as it can.
This is just the very beginning. Honestly, you haven't
Thank
even
you.
been open a year yet. And gosh, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the fact that you have a rather famous co-founder who was rather adamant about her wanting to wear makeup while performing and
Yep.
while competing, and that that also requires her to very quickly freshen up after, because she may have to do a quick interview afterwards, or she may run here or run there. And there's a lot to be said about the longevity of your products and how well they work, because you, as you stated, had a ton of athletes that were trying the products and utilizing them.
So, quick thing I need to point out, the anti-chafe stick melted in my bag. And so she was out, like, quite literally in the middle of the desert in Dubai doing a tournament. And obviously I would never be out running around doing a rugby tournament in Dubai. So it's just kind of like, I think it's just making sure that what we're claiming and what we're saying is what's happening, because there's so many claims and there's so many brands out there that say, we do this, we do this, we do this. And in reality, they've just done the basic testing that all beauty brands need to do. Some of them don't even do that, which is scary. But I think just having that real life, like, hey, yeah, this we had to completely reformulate our no frick stick before it launched, like quite literally 2 to 3 months before it launched to make it so those claims were, yeah, no free, like it doesn't freeze, it doesn't, melt, all of that. So that was something super helpful that was just like real lived experience and feedback that, we were excited that we got that back so we could quickly make those formulation changes. And shout
Mhm.
out to my manufacturers and, all of the people that were involved with that because at one point it was a race to the finish, of being able to kind of make all these tweaks. It is a little bit more of an expensive, process and progress, but of launching these products, but for me, it's truly worth it. The extra expense to make sure these products, if I'm, giving this to a female athlete who I'm part of the community, I want them to trust that they work and that they keep coming back. And if we launch another product, they're like, "Yay, I love XYZ from Medalist." So like can't wait to try. Like I said, we'll be launching a larger format of our clean sweep wipe, but for a body, which will be exciting. Yeah, really exciting. And, really just having that community keep on coming back and building that trust. So yeah, really exciting stuff.
So amazing.
Yes, everyone, that's kind of yeah, I
So I love that you recently moved to Maine, and I wonder if during, gosh, what I'm sure has been probably the busiest season of your life, at least the last year, what has the quietness and the stillness of Maine given you during this time?
oh my gosh, it's given me everything.
Good.
I've only been here since, I've been here since January 1st, and I'm in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, which is I can literally see the bridge
Okay.
to Maine, but, like, I can walk to
Okay.
Maine, I'm in Maine all the time. Quite literally, I can see Maine from my
Okay.
house, I spent 10 years in the city, and I think in New York City. I do think that there is a, element of just kind of like I needed a change of scenery. I felt like at times I was wearing my traps as earrings. I was just so like, oh my gosh, like my cortisol levels, like everything is harder in the city, but the city also brought me everything that, that I have in terms of my professional career, my professional development. But I was just kind of ready to, move on. Right now, I'm looking out my window and I can swim in my front yard, So I'm really looking forward to when it's not literal snow, like I said, but getting out there and swimming around. And, I go to the beach, which, like I said, I was born, on coastal North Carolina. I'm a water baby for sure. So it just, being next to the water, I swam, obviously. Like, there's something that helps me just like zen out and, being just close to the water has been super helpful. My dog has started swimming, which has been
Oh,
yes, which has been so funny to watch. I mean, obviously it's a little too cold now, but I'm gonna get him his little life jacket and we're gonna go swimming together for sure.
I love it. There's definitely something to be said about, getting your grounding and your footing in a city and then heading on to your next home
Yeah,
to settle on into the next iteration of that. I highly
absolutely.
support the
Yeah.
fellow girly that left the city. I was in Philly for 18 years and just
Mhm.
recently moved back to Cape May 2 years ago where I'm from. So on the
Oh
beach
my
too,
gosh.
coastal
I
girl.
was a beach lifeguard on Seattle City for a year for a summer.
Good.
Yes. Yes, yes. I was
Love
like
that.
obviously I competed in the swimming,
Yes,
portion
of
of it.
course, the boat races.
Yeah. Oh, don't catch me in a boat. I actually had to get rescued by another lifeguard because I couldn't figure out how I just rowed my boat all the way out to England. Exactly. I was row my boat. But I did paddleboard and swimming. But yeah, if you need me to rescue in a boat, no, you don't because
No, you
I,
don't. You
I
thought you did.
can't do it. I'm sorry.
I love that so much. All right, so I have one final question that I ask all of my guests, and it's this. AnnRegan, how do you make your life rich?
I love that question. I think, I've really seen taking time out for me, that's been very, very important. I think in terms of centering yourself, grounding yourself, whatever it may be for you. I've seen meditation has really helped me out a lot recently and just giving you a second to check in with yourself. I think everyone runs throughout the day. We're looking at all types of different screens are, sometimes just it seems programmed to like wake up, go to work, go to sleep, and I think in terms of being able to take some time out for yourself, like really do and not not thinking that it's selfish, for a long time, like we kind of talked about a little bit of, the astrology and horoscopes, but with my chart, like it just seems like rest sometimes, if you're not always on and not always, doing something and being productive, it can seem as lazy or failure. And that is not the case. Like hustle culture has got to stop. Like, like we need to understand, like normalize a nap. We love a nap, rest is just as important and needed and necessary and vital to move forward and succeed as, those moments where you're going. So nap and take a second and just realize, take a moment every day for yourself, and it's not selfish and it's productive.
Yeah. Beautiful. I love that so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you so much. This has been such a pleasure to get to know you better. Everyone, there's going to be so many links in the show notes for you to purchase. And if you're a non industry individual, DTC means direct to consumer. So you can buy from their website, which will be down here. You'll be able to buy your next order when you re up in Amazon shortly, or maybe 2 orders from now. You'll be able to purchase on Amazon, get it
Yes,
delivered.
yes.
And
Hopefully by
please,
summer.
yes, summer, it'll be here so soon. And please follow Medalist as well as AnnRegan on Instagram. You have so much amazing, fun content that I think you're definitely going to enjoy. But I just know this is the very beginning and we all need to be supporting you on this journey. So
Thank
thank you so much for
you.
coming on.
Of course. I appreciate every moment. This was such a fun conversation, and I'm happy and excited to see you guys on Medalist. So I'll be looking out for you guys.
Keto